Hi, guys, and welcome to the Horror Room. So, this week I thought we would have a little discussion about a horror icon that, used to be a big deal. You used to go to the cinemas to watch them, then kind of fell off into the direct to DVD market, which is usually a bad sign. But then got a TV series which kind of revitalized things. That's right, we're talking about Child's Play, aka Chucky. You know, ever since Don Mancini came up with the idea back in the late 80s, uh, Chucky was a huge phenomenon. You look at those first two films, especially, while the concept of, a serial killer using voodoo to transfer his soul into a doll is a little silly. Um, no one had seen anything like it, and it was really great, especially since they brought in the talents of Brad Dourif to voice Chucky. And there's I've seen those posts where it's like Robert Englund is Freddy Krueger, Brad or Doug Bradley. I almost said Brad Dudley. Doug Bradley is Pinhead. I think most people would agree that Brad Dourif is Chucky. Nice try, Mark Hamill. The remake sucks. That was fine for what it was, but they're not doing a sequel anytime soon. Um, so a lot of people we look back at least most people look back at least at the first two films as like pinnacle, peak Chucky. Then you have the third film, which they wanted to age Andy up and do a new story, and obviously Vincent Alex or Alex Vincent, I think that's his name, Alex Vincent. Sorry, um, he wasn't old enough to portray Andy as a teenager, so they got a different actor. I cannot remember the name of that actor. I could probably grab the tape, but it's too far away. Um, so after that third one, things kind of went quiet for a little while until the 90s when Ronnie Yu, I believe it was, brought Chucky back with Bride of Chucky, and that kind of started the wheels in a different direction because before that, Chucky was mainly horror. He had some funny moments here and there, um, but they still had some good scares, good kills. But with Bride of Chucky, they introduced Jennifer Tilly as Charles Lee Ray's ex, and she gets a hold of Chucky's body from the police evidence locker. And she uses voodoo and brings him back to life. And of course, realizes that Chucky's kind of an asshole and, tries to keep him locked up, but that's a bad idea. And Chucky says, well, hey, why don't you become a doll? Why do I have to become a human? So he puts Tiffany into a doll body, and then boom, instantly Chucky becomes an icon again, and as well as Jennifer Tilly as uh, Tiffany. Um, so then, after Bride of Chucky, you had Seed of Chucky. Now, Seed of Chucky is where things got a little ridiculous in terms of comedy. They bring in Glenn, which is Chucky and Tiffany's son. Well, son slash daughter, because there's an identity crisis going on in that film, and a lot of people have praised that movie for being kind of ahead of its time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with the movie or the character of Glenn. I think it is a good movie as it is, for like funny, but as scary goes, I mean, come on, we got Turkey, Turkey, Chucky choking his turkey. That's hard to say. Um, so yeah, it's not scary at all. It's more funny. It gets very ridiculous, especially near the end. So people were kind of burnt out with the comedy side of Chucky, even though it literally was like two films. So Chucky kind of took a hiatus for a long while. Um, and then we had Curse of Chucky come out of nowhere. Um, but even though Seed of Chucky got a theatrical release, Curse was direct to video. So this seemed to be like, oh my gosh, this is a nail in the coffin. The Chucky franchise is doomed to do like Hellraiser, to do like Leprechaun. Um, but people watched it, and it's not a perfect movie, but it was taking things back in a serious direction. although you could say, Chucky hunting down someone in a wheelchair is, a step back. Not in terms of, including handicapped people in horror movies. It's just like, I don't know, like what do you think of Chucky? And they do explain it in the movie, and they tie it into the backstory of the first movie, surprisingly. So we get that. There are some good moments in that film, but overall, it was kind of a middle of the road movie. People didn't really vibe with it too much, but we got a sequel. We got Cult of Chucky, which a lot of people, including myself, were very excited for. And then we saw it, and me personally, I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was very weird. The multiple Chucky dolls, Nika getting possessed by Chucky at the end. It's just kind of a weird movie. And they finally brought back Alex Vincent, which was cool, but they didn't really do a lot with him. Um, and then we had the remake kind of sandwiched in that area, which a lot of people hated. I will say it's a weak remake compared to a lot of other horror remakes. It had some of its own ideas, but it was kind of relying on the like technology is bad thing. They dropped the voodoo curse, and it's like, oh, a rogue employee is tampering with Chucky's AI, and now Chucky's got no mortal compass, like something like that. Um, I don't know. It didn't really do well. The ending was kind of like, um, so I don't think we're ever going to get a sequel to that. Another reimagining, sure, it's possible. Stranger things have happened. Um, but the strangest thing to happen was after that movie, instead of going with another direct sequel, Don Mancini decided that he was going to make a TV show. And this isn't the first time we've seen a horror franchise branch out into television. We had Ash versus Evil Dead, and that is a fantastic example of how to do a horror show. Although a lot of people said, the third season wasn't as good, and it did get canceled off of Sci-Fi or Stars, I think it was. I thought it was good all the way through. I liked it. It kept the story and stuff intact. And that's kind of what we saw with the Child's Play TV series, which was just named Chucky. Um, it kept everything. It kept Glenn. It kept the voodoo curse with the multiple Chuckies. It even kept Alex Vincent. He came back in the series, as well as Kyle from Part 2, which is a fan favorite film. So the only thing, my complaint with that is they really didn't do a lot with Kyle. They really didn't do a lot with Glenn slash Glenda either. Um, I'd say the first season started off pretty strong. You have Jake, I believe his name is, who's kind of having his own identity crisis. And, he's got an abusive stepfather played by Devon Sawa. And Devon Sawa is in every season of Chucky playing somebody different. I think in season 2 he plays a priest. And then in season 3 he's the goddamn president. So I like that part of the TV show. I think it's great. But you have Jake. I'm trying to remember the names of the other two characters. One of them ends up being Jake's boyfriend, and the other one is like a bully that Jake, kind of in the first season they're not getting along, but they kind of end up teaming up for season 2. I think near the end of season 1 they kind of team up too. Um, Season 1 started off pretty strong. I would say season 2 was kind of middle of the road, kind of waving a little bit. And season 3, I thought, came back a little strong. Had some weird elements, like with the White House being haunted, and Chucky trying to get back in Dembala's good graces, because Dembala, if you don't know, is the god who, or the entity that allowed Chucky to become what he is, a doll. And Chucky's tried to get back in human form so many times, but he's kind of just accepted at this point. He's going to stay living forever as this killer doll. But things aren't working out too well for him, because in season 3 of the show, he starts aging and finds out he's going to die unless he does something to prove his worth to Dembala. So Chucky's planning on breaking into the White House nukes and nuking the world or something. it's an insane plot, but it works. It's fun. And like Chucky does something crazy in season 3. I'm not going to spoil too much of the show. I would recommend you guys watch it if you haven't seen it. I know it was a little divisive because people said, oh, Chucky's too nice. He's too accepting of things in this show. And it's like, who cares? Like he's a serial killer, and they do show some of his backstory with that, but it doesn't mean they have to make him this, horrible, unlikable character who, isn't tolerant or, just wants to kill everybody and everything. If you had a character like that, I don't think it would make for a good TV show. That's why I'm like kind of confused that they're going to do a Halloween TV show. Like, are they going to change Michael Myers? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but we're not here to talk about Mike. But needless to say, Child's Play season 3 was the last, or Chucky season 3 was the last season, and they ended it on a cliffhanger, of course. Not the best cliffhanger. I would say it was probably the strangest cliffhanger. But even though the series got canceled, Don Mancini has said that he wants to incorporate what happened into the next movie. And it's like, are you bringing the TV show characters into the movie? Are you going to wrap up what's going on with them? Or are we just kind of forgetting about them and moving forward with Chucky? And Don Mancini's thrown out some wild ideas for Chucky movies. When I read these, I thought they were jokes, but apparently none of them are. I hope we don't get any of them, honestly. There was talks about sending Chucky to space. Please no. That's where horror goes to die. Chucky, something involving him becoming a vampire or fighting vampire. Like, oh, what the hell? And then the one that, you'd think a lot of people would be really excited for, which would be Chucky versus Freddy. Logistically, that sounds like a nightmare trying to get the rights. Plus, do you bring back Robert Englund? Because he's really too old to be playing Freddy at this point, and they haven't attempted any kind of revitalization or remake since the failed original remake. And Brad Dourif, he's getting up there as well. And I hate to say it, but when Brad Dourif passes away, are they going to use AI to try and replicate his voice? Nobody's going to like that. They could get somebody else to voice Chucky. I mean, there's been examples of people that are sound-alikes. Just the first one that comes to mind is Rick and Morty. They have a sound-alike for Rick and Morty. And, unless you're really listening, it sounds like the characters. So they could go that route. And I would be pretty impressed if they could find someone that could pull off not only the way that Chucky talks, but that laugh, the iconic Chucky laugh, which I think nobody can do it like Brad Dourif. Maybe they'll explain, something else, like maybe Charles Lee Ray is not inhabiting Chucky anymore. Maybe it's somebody else. I don't know. There's a bunch of different possibilities, but it's been quiet. It's been silent on the end of Don Mancini. I mean, I haven't looked up anything recently, so I could be wrong. If you guys know of any articles or any news about the future of Chucky, let me know down below, because I'm really interested. I was kind of mad when season 3 ended, and I knew, this is where we're ending things. Chucky's legacy deserves way more than it's gotten. And you can obviously tell I love me some Chucky. I got this original good guy from Trick or Treat Studios. It was one of the first ones they came out with. And this is the look I prefer. This is the scary Chucky. I mean, we're not really going to go back from him with the stitches. Well, I mean, they did kind of in the show because, different good guy doll and whatever. But going forward, what are some ideas that you guys think would work for Chucky? The police are going to hire Chucky or go after him. No. I don't think they're going to do a passing of the torch along to Glenn. I think they've kind of wrapped up anything with Glenn. They could do the whole, Chucky's using his voodoo to possess other people or other dolls. and they've done that in the show where they had Nika. She was possessed by Charles Lee Ray, and it was just, it was funny, but it was like, would you keep watching the Child's Play series if it was Brad Dourif's daughter, Fiona Dourif, playing him? I don't think people would really stick around for that. I mean, it was amusing for the show, and it worked for the story they were telling, but I don't think that that would be a good option going forward. Plus, I think they ended that avenue. I'm pretty sure they did. Well, yeah, obviously, because Chucky's back in his own body. I just don't know where is the Child's Play franchise going to go from here, because it's right now, as of right now, it's been a couple years at least, and it's been quiet. And I know people love Chucky. Chucky's one of those icons of horror that unfortunately is never going to get the rest that he deserves. They're going to milk that sucker for all he's worth. And I don't see Don Mancini stopping anytime soon. I mean, it's not really about the money, but they are going to make a profit off of it. He does love the character and the story, obviously, and Brad Dourif has basically said anytime that there's a Chucky project, he is down to do it. And I'm just wondering, like, are they going to wrap things up? Are they going to continue it a different way? Maybe Brad Dourif's going to make like Tupac and go into the studio and like, let's just drop a million Chucky lines so we have them for as many movies as we need to. I mean, I hope they don't take the AI route and try to replicate his voice or replicate his image. We don't want that. But what do you guys think? Do you think the Child's Play franchise just needs to end, or are you excited to see what's coming next? I know I am, but it is getting to that point where it's kind of like iffy whether things are going to go in a good direction or not. We've seen it with tons of franchises. Child's Play is no different. It's been here and there, and the fans are very divided. But I'm a big Chucky fan. Although I'm more of a fan of the classic Chucky movies, I do still show some interest until they do something that's completely like Michael Myers getting beat up in a sewer type thing. That just makes me go, oh, okay. But I don't know. I don't see them doing anything like that. I mean, they've done some wild things, and I don't know. It's just always kind of been on brand for me. So thanks for watching. I just wanted to have this little discussion. Like I said, by the time this video comes out, I could be wrong. There could be a new movie trailer right out right now, and I will be like, hey, it is what it is. But I would definitely love to see Chucky come back to theaters. Hit or miss whether that's going to happen. But hey, let me know. Do you guys think we need another Chucky movie? Do you think we need another season of the show somehow? Yeah, just let me know. Let's talk about Chucky. Thanks for tuning in. Next week, I got something a little different for you guys. So yeah, just stay tuned, and I'll see you then.